Hello, and welcome to another episode of This, That, and the Other. I ran across a record that my parents had. They acquired it from Boatman's National Bank when we lived in the St. Louis area from 1969 to 1970. And it's Are You Getting Your Money's Worth Out of Your Money by Earl Nightingale, a motivational speaker at the time. I would imagine the bank must have given that away as a promotional. We were new to the area, and parents were new customers to that bank, so that's probably how it was acquired. But I listened to it, and it seems to be in pretty good condition for its age. It doesn't seem to have very many scratches on it or anything. You can hear the scratches when it's played though, but there's no skipping or anything, so that's good. Pretty good shape for a record of that age. Here's the actual record. It's the size of a 45. Here's a Boatman's logo, Boatman's National Bank. Are You Getting Your Money's Worth Out of Your Money by Earl Nightingale. And reverse side of the record, two sides, and there's the cover. It's got the got the Morgan silver dollar, Liberty nickel on there, among other old coins. And back at the reverse side has Earl Nightingale's signature. About the man who will speak to you from this record, and address of where it came from, and again the Boatman's logo right here. And that's the reverse side of the record. So this record's about 45 years old. Not bad shape for its age. I'm going to go ahead and play the record, and afterwards I will give you some information on the history of Boatman's and Earl Nightingale himself. Give me a minute here to get this thing going, get it queued up.
This is Earl Nightingale with an idea that can save you over $12,000 on the purchase of a $15,000 item. Interesting? I'll tell you how a little later, but first let me ask you a question. Are you getting your money's worth out of your money? Like anything else, managing money successfully takes some learning. A dollar in your pocket does nothing. A dollar spent is worth as much as it buys. But the same dollar wisely spent or used as credit may be worth many, many times more to you. The harder you make a dollar work, the longer you make it last. The farther you make it go in providing health, happiness, or investment opportunities, the richer it will make you. Now, you probably know people who don't earn any more than the people by whom they're surrounded, yet they somehow seem to get more out of their money. They buy the better car, take the longer trips, enjoy the latest appliances. Yet they also have the savings and insurance they need for tomorrow's security and today's peace of mind. No, it's not how much you earn that matters, or even your net worth when you figure it up. It's what you do with your money to make life richer and more rewarding for yourself and family that makes the big difference. Most Americans just sort of take the good things of life for granted. They haven't tried to figure out why living is so much better for us here in America than for most of the other people on Earth. And they haven't given much thought to the idea that they could have even more of the good things and make life even more interesting and rewarding with just a little planning and knowledge. Now, while a form of banking can be traced back to 3000 BC, did you know that not one person in 100, probably not one person in 1,000, has any idea of the number of services a full-service bank, like the Boatman's National Bank, has to offer to the individual and to the business firms of a community? A recent survey made for the bank showed that of all the people in the United States who pay 5 or more bills a month, 20% of them did not even have a checking account. Only a tiny fraction of the people doing business with a bank take advantage of all the services that are available to them. If you're not one of these people, it's costing you money, and money is too important and hard to come by to be treated so lightly. Thus, this message. Today, the typical American family handles the family finances in much the same way our grandparents handled the family food buying. They have a checking account in a neighborhood bank because they think this location is more convenient, and then mail in their deposits and cash their checks at the grocery store. Their cash savings may go somewhere else. From time to time, they borrow money from still another source, and they finance their home through yet another lending agency. They keep their fire insurance policy in the house, where it'll be sure to burn if the house does. Their marriage license is in a desk drawer. Their children's birth certificates are in the family Bible. They haven't seen their Social Security cards in years, and their life and health insurance policies are around somewhere. Periodically, they buy some stocks or mutual funds from a salesman recommended by one of the fellows at work. The husband's will, it's around somewhere, was drawn up shortly after they were married and living in another state, and will be executed by the wife if the husband dies, or brother Ed, or a good friend, maybe even by the state if both husband and wife should die in a common accident. What's wrong with this picture? Plenty. There's a better way for most people, and that's to take advantage of all the services a full-service bank, like Boatman's, has to offer. What is a full-service bank? Well, you might call it a financial supermarket. It makes the whole world of financial services available to its customers under one roof. It can help you with just about any situation that involves money. Now let's assume that a typical American family had known about the help they could get from a full-service bank. Let's see how they might conduct the family financial affairs so that they could get their money's worth out of their money. Perhaps we should really call them the untypical American family. First, they have a checking account at this full-service bank. They have several checking accounts in the family, as a matter of fact. The regular checking account has the largest balance and is used in paying all the major bills, and the canceled checks can be used as a record or as receipts at income tax figuring time. The smaller checking account is set up as a special account for which the bank charges so much a check for handling it, sort of a petty cash bank account. The third checking account is used by their son in college. He's had it ever since he started working and earning some of his own money in high school. Second, this untypical American family figured it made good sense to have its savings account in the same financial institution that helped it with all other money matters. The money for long-range savings goals is in savings certificates, and these certificates pay an excellent rate of interest on savings. For special short-term savings goals, such as their Christmas fund, their vacation fund, and so on, they've set aside special savings accounts. The money is allowed to accumulate in these accounts each year until the time comes to use the money, and then they take it out. During the entire time it's on deposit, the bank pays them daily interest, compounded 4 times a year. They call the savings in all of these accounts automatic, because each month their bank transfers the amount they've specified from their checking account into their savings accounts. They are not charged for this service. Further, each account in the bank is insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Bank savings are as safe and readily available as human brains can make them. By the way, do you know why it is that so many people have trouble saving money? It has nothing to do with the amount they earn. It's just that they've never decided how much they want to save. They've never set a financial goal for themselves. There are really 3 amounts of money every person should decide upon. 1, the yearly income he wants to earn. 2, the amount of money he wants to have in a savings account. And 3, the amount of money he wants as retirement income, whether he ever retires from active work or not. Now, it's here that most people make a serious mistake, in that they never, during their entire lives, decide on any one of these 3 vital amounts of money. If you'll decide on these 3 amounts, and if you'll write them down, you'll have laid out a plan for the future, a blueprint for future financial accomplishment. You'll know where you're going, and if you're serious about it, you'll most certainly get there. You see, the trouble with people, the typical American family, is not in achieving its goals. They can do that. It's in not setting goals that gets people in trouble. They leave it to chance and find out sooner or later, and to their sorrow, that chance doesn't work, that they've missed the boat. Third, our untypical family that takes advantage of the help it can get from a full-service bank borrows so that they might enjoy the ownership of an article while they're buying it. You might call that enjoying prosperity while we prosper. It's enjoying in our youth the money we will earn in later years. It's a good system if we handle it intelligently. Now, if you'll turn this record over, I'll tell you how to save $12,000 on the purchase of that $15,000 item.
All right, I'm going to flip this thing over momentarily, just waiting for it to cycle through and the record to stop, and then I'll flip it over to the other side and finish it. All right.
You know, the largest single purchase most people make is the home they live in. Buying a home isn't something most people do often enough to become skilled in doing it. There are just too many details and intricacies for a person to learn them all if he only uses them 1, 2, or 3 times during his lifetime. So our untypical Americans decided to get some expert financial counsel from an officer in the real estate loan department at their full-service bank. Now, he'd spent years becoming skilled in acquiring just the sort of information they needed now. Now, they had in mind a new $15,000 home built by a good developer. The bank's officer told them that the bank could not make them a 30-year loan with only a 3% down payment, the type they'd heard advertised. But when he showed them that by financing a $15,000 home over 30 years at 5.75% interest and a 3% down payment, they would be paying $31,024.80 for the home, they were more than a little surprised. They saw that they would be paying more than $31,000 for a $15,000 home. The real estate officer then showed the advantages of 10, 15, or even 20-year bank financing with a loan equal to 75% of the appraised value of the home. With a 10-year loan, this same house would cost them a total of $18,570, including their down payment and all interest charges. It was the same house, but it cost them $12,454.80 less to finance it this different way. Now, this is over $12,000 this untypical American family was not going to pay for the same house they had at first considered buying with one of the so-called easy 30-year loans. What's easy about $12,000? Here was money enough to send the children to college, and all a result of a visit to the bank's real estate loan department before they bought their house. Think about that. Fourth, these untypical Americans decided to ask about the services of the consumer credit department at their full-service bank. They were delighted to learn that the bank would be happy to loan them money to buy their cars, appliances, and for any other worthwhile purpose at interest charges well below the finance charges they were quoted elsewhere. So, by saving finance charges and all their installment buying, they had more money to enjoy, many more of the good things in life. The difference over the 40 years most people work is an amazing amount of money. Fifth, one time a financial emergency came along. That's what they have a habit of doing. And these untypical Americans needed some funds in a hurry. But before cashing in a savings account, they figured it wouldn't cost anything to talk the problem over with one of the financial experts at their bank. They found that getting a secured loan at the bank was easy. It is their bank's business to make loans. They have to make loans to remain in business. So a secured loan was easily arranged at a low rate of interest using the savings passbook as collateral. They could also have used the life insurance or listed securities as collateral for their loan. Sixth, in addition to getting the money they wanted, they learned about another bank service they were unfamiliar with: check credit. The customer just applies for check credit in the amount he wants. His total credit is determined by an amount he can pay back each month over either a 12-month or a 24-month period. Now, there's no cost involved in opening a check credit account, and it costs nothing to maintain when not in use. He pays interest only for the money he uses when and if he ever uses it. Now, here was instant money available if and when he needs it, just like having another checking account. Should an emergency come up, even thousands of miles from home, all he had to do was write a check on this account, and he had instant money. It's terrible to need money and not have it. It's a source of comfort and peace of mind to have money and not need it. So our untypical Americans now have another checking account. They've never used it, but it's there in case they need to. The seventh place our untypical American family found their full-service bank of tremendous help was in the trust department. They found that the capable officers here would give them expert financial advice in their investment and estate planning. They learned that many doctors, lawyers, and just plain folks felt that it was smarter for them to devote their time and thought to earning money in the areas of their skill and turn over most of the management of their accumulated money to people who spend their lives becoming skilled at investment management. The eighth way our untypical American family found they could get more run for their money was also in the trust department. One day they picked up a booklet and read about the services of a trust department in performing the duties and responsibilities as the executor of a will. They were amazed at all of the specialized skills and knowledge an executor must have, and quickly decided that their trust department was eminently more qualified than the executor they had previously appointed in their wills. Now, this is an easy decision to arrive at when you take a look at all the duties of an executor to see what a complicated procedure this can be, and realize that many of these are in areas where an unskilled person can cost untold loss to the beneficiaries of a will. Our untypical Americans felt that this was no job for an untrained friend or relative who had a full-time job earning his own living. So they appointed the trust department as executor of their wills, and they learned that the trust department was not only delighted to work with their family attorney in preparing their wills, but made a practice of doing this with all of their customers. Yes, an hour spent with a trust officer at your bank might well be the most important hour of your life. The money a man works so hard to earn and save for loved ones should not be left to be handled by unskilled executives or trustees, no matter how good their intentions might be. Now, ninth, with all of the important financial affairs of this untypical American family being handled at their full-service bank, it was just logical that this was the place to rent a safe deposit box for all of their important records, papers, and valuables. It cost them less than 2 cents a day, and even this amount was deductible at tax-paying time. Now, what does all this add up to? Well, in financial circles, what this untypical American family is doing is called leveraging their money. The first dollar they put in their savings account is still drawing interest. It's also used from time to time as security for loans, and the secured loans get a lower rate of interest than unsecured ones do. This savings dollar is also helping its owner establish bank credit. It's adding to the owner's sense of well-being and his peace of mind. It's playing its part in all the other services our untypical Americans find so helpful and profitable at their full-service bank. This is what we meant at the beginning of this record when we said, the harder you make a dollar work, the longer you make it last. The farther you make it go in providing health, happiness, or investment opportunities, the richer it will make you. If you are not now doing most of your financial business with a full-service bank, like Boatman's, it might be worth a few minutes of your time to investigate it. Don't you agree? Thank you.
All right. Very interesting how back in 1969, people were buying houses for $15,000 at the time. 10,000, 15,000, a lot of money. But imagine doing a 30-year loan for $15,000 house. And would love to be able to buy a house for $15,000 these days. All right, little background information, history on Boatman's. Boatman's Bank Shares Incorporated was the 30 was one of the 30 largest banks holdings in the U.S. holdings companies in the U.S. and for 9.6 billions, it was acquired by Nations Bank in 1996, and which later became Bank of America. It was founded in 1847 in St. Louis and claimed to be the oldest bank west of the Mississippi, and founded by George Knight Budd. It was the largest bank in Missouri in the 1980s. William H.T. Bush, the younger brother of our first President Bush, was president of that bank from 1978 to 1986. And a little background information on Earl Nightingale, a motivational speaker born March 12, 1921 in Los Angeles and passed away March 28, 1989. An American self-help speaker and author of The Strangest Secret, known as Dean of Personal Development, voice of the 1950s show Sky King, the hero of a radio and adventure series, and WGN radio host from 1950 to 1956. At 17, he joined the Marine Corps and was on the USS Arizona during the Pearl Harbor attack. Only 12 of the Marines survived on that. He was one of the survivors. And then he was an instructor at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. After radio, he was a motivational speaker. His radio program, Our Changing World, was the most successful syndicated radio program ever, and it was even syndicated on the American Forces radio and television service, the military. After retiring, him and his wife Diana formed Keys Publishing. He won a gold record for his LP The Strangest Secret in 1976, and in 1976 he won the Golden Gavel Awards from Toastmasters International. Inducted into the Association of National Broadcasting National Radio Hall of Fame in the mid-1980s. First book Earl Nightingale wrote was Greatest Discovery, and he received the Napoleon Hill Gold Medal for Literacy Excellency. Prior to his death in 1989, he created a new format for the bank, the Winner's Notebook, with text, illustrations, and included space for a private journal. During his lifetime, he recorded over 7,000 radio programs, 250 audio, as well as TV and videos. His little background information on Earl Nightingale. It was interesting to listen to, and like I said, money was different back then. 15,000 to buy a house, 45 years ago. Hard to believe. And as always, thanks for watching.